Right at the start of my content creation journey with Football Manager here on YouTube, I started a series with a Dutch club that I knew very little about, and that was Vitesse Arnhem. Now very quickly I fell in love with the club and ended up buying a shirt which you always see in the background of these videos. The series ended up being 20 plus parts, and it was even the first time that I showed my face on a YouTube video. So the club was definitely a huge part of my YouTube journey, and I've had a massive soft spot for them since, keeping tabs on them, but this year things haven't gone well. The club currently find themselves rock bottom of the Eredivisie at time of recording, so today I'm hopefully going to give some reprieve to the Vitesse fans. I'm going to take over as manager and try and rebuild the club in 5 years. But there's one thing I need to do first before we start. There we go, that's much better. When I managed them on my series in the past, we ended up taking the club to Champions League glory, but in fact, their trophy cabinet is a lot less decorated. They have 1 Dutch Cup in their history and 2 second division titles, but outside of that, they haven't really won anything. So today, I'll be trying to get them into Europe, but also challenge for the Eredivisie title. We've got a nice foundation to build up from here at Vitesse because we have great facilities, and financially, there is a pretty nice balance in the club of around 9 million, with nothing in the debts and loans. We've even got some pretty handy players in the squad, like 30-year-old Marco van Ginkel, formerly of Chelsea, who was actually with Vitesse when Chelsea originally signed him. And for those who don't know, Chelsea and Vitesse used to be linked in the past, where Chelsea would send over a lot of their loanee players to Vitesse to develop. The likes of Mason Mount and Armando Broja have all played for the Dutch club. And whilst they aren't from Chelsea, lots of Vitesse's best players in the game have been loaned in, like Paxton Aronson from Frankfurt, Romanian Adrian Mazilu on loan from Brighton. You could add Kasper Kozlowski to that Brighton loan list, as well as Fode Fofana on loan from PSV. Now that might cause a problem down the line because there's 25 players in our first team and 7 of those are loaned in, so we're going to have to replace them. But for now, we head into our first transfer window with £1 million to spend and nothing in the wage budget. I don't think we'll be able to do many transfers, but I'll see what I can do in the window. Before we see the transfers for Season 1 though, I want you guys to do me a massive favour if you could scroll down and hit the like button. I know I say it in every video, but this being a smaller club than what I usually do, it's likely to get less views here on YouTube, so the best we can do in the like department will help boost it and hopefully help the video do well. So thank you to anybody who goes and does that, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do, and comment down below what rebuild you want to see next. Every rebuild we do is based on your suggestions, and the final thing, don't worry, I'll stop with the plugs in a second, but in the description there's a Patreon. If you want to support me as a creator, you can head on over there, and in return you'll get access to the save files from all of the rebuilds we do from Season 1 through to 5. You can take over at any point you want and try and do a better job than I did. There you go, that's everything. Let's see who we bought in. And it was a strange transfer. We only bought in 1 player, but that's because we had pretty much no budget to work with in Season 1. In Season 2 we can really kick on, but this is Danny Rose, of course, the former Spurs player. He was available as a free agent and we needed a backup left back, so he slots in perfectly. Plenty of experience to help us here in the Eredivisie. Like I say, we'll have to kick on in the transfer window in future seasons, but for now at least, this is what our best 11 is, in a 4-2-3-1 formation that is likely to change down the line considering the fact that we're going to lose 4 of these players at the end of their loans, but currently our best team is this. In goal we've got 34-year-old Eloy Room. One of our best players is the Haitian right back Carlens Arcus. He's partnered at the back with French 31-year-old Izat Marin, so you can see there are a lot of old players in this squad. We've got Hendricks, who's a younger option alongside him, a 22-year-old on loan from Feyenoord. At left back is Danny Rose, then in midfield we've got Van Ginkel, as well as recent signing Matthias Tielemans, who's apparently our best player in that box-to-box midfielder role. Our attack is made up of purely loanees alongside homegrown talent Thomas Butink, and he was here back in the day when I originally managed them a few years back in Football Manager. He's still a good player, he's one of our best, but he is injured for a pretty big portion of this season. He's out for 6 months. The board want us to finish in the top half, but the media predict us to finish in 10th with 200 to 1 odds of winning the title. Now a 10th place prediction isn't great, but it's far better than what Vitesse are doing in real life currently, so fingers crossed we can stay up in Season 1 and really build on from there. And as you can see, we had a pretty mixed bag of a season, going on some good runs where we won lots of games, but also losing quite a lot on the way. But we were much better than I originally anticipated we would be, and it led to a fantastic 4th place finish in Season 1. We've kicked this rebuild off in the right way with 67 points on the board, 9 losses, 21 wins, with only Ajax, PSV and Feyenoord ahead of us. But there's a big problem. From the top down, these were our best goal scorers this season, and as you can see, in the top 7, there's only one player that we actually own. All the others are on loan, and we're going to have to deal with that next season, as none of them are sticking around. One of our brightest sparks though was homegrown product Miliano Jonathans, who managed to bag 5 goals in the league and 2 assists with a 7 average match rating. And we are going to have to rely on our youth a lot, because we've only got £3.5 million to spend next summer. That might seem like a lot of money, but when you consider the likes of Ajax, Feyenoord and PSV around us are going to spend a hell of a lot more, it's going to be a tough job. But we're going to see what we can do. We can really get our rebuild started now as we start to make our own squad in the Season 2 transfer window. And because we lost the majority of our squad already, we didn't really sell many players this summer. Instead, we focused on bringing in lots of new faces. Firstly, our director of football brought in this player for the academy, Zakaria Hadoui, who hasn't got too much potential. He spent £35,000 on him, but look, he is a new face, and I'm sure with the amount of players we've got, he's probably going to get a chance. A transfer I made though was to bring in Japanese 23-year-old Shion Homer in on a free transfer. He's joined us from Club Bruges, having been let go from the Belgian divisions. He's not exactly world class, but he is one of the best in the position that we have on that left hand side, so fingers crossed he'll work out for us. We've also added Silvinho Assages, who's a 22-year-old Dutch player coming in from Edo Den Haag, again on a free transfer. I'm probably butchering these guys' pronunciations, but I'm doing my best. One player we did spend money on though was Bulgarian 24-year-old international Viktor Popov, who's considered one of the best, if not the best players at the club, and he cost us just under £1 million. When you see his attributes, yes, he's good, but he shouldn't ever really be the best player in any top half challenging Eredivisie team, but that's just the situation we're in. Our squad isn't great right now, but we have added some experience to the ranks with former Dutch international Jeffrey Bruma signing on a free, as well as former Dutch wonderkid Jairo Rijdewald, who made his way from Ajax to Palace, never really cracked it there in the Premier League, and now we've got him as a free transfer. And finally, we have Cape Verdean international Diroy Duarte, who joins from Fortuna Sittard on a free deal, and you will notice a lot of those were free transfers. That's just what we had to work with the budget we had. And here is our best team going into next season. Realistically, it is a massive downgrade on last year, but I've got to be honest, I don't really want to work with loans anymore at Vitesse. They're a club that's relied too long on loan players. I want to build our own talent through the academy, give them a chance, and then eventually sell them on for profit, because that's the only way we can really start climbing the table and reinvesting into the club. So this is what our best 11 looks like, and there's a lot of new faces to learn. Eloy Room is still in goal, but we have a new centre-back coming in. His name is Enzo Cornelis. He's actually an academy player who played a few times last season, and with our loanee centre-back going, he's bound to get more minutes. Michael Pinto is our best left-back, as Danny Rose has now retired from football. Van Ginko and Rijdewald in the midfield, with Jonathans on right wing, Tielemans in attack, with Hummer and Butink as the rest of the team. It'll be really handy having Butink back and fit. Fingers crossed this season he can score some goals. Last year, I think he only played like 10 times, but he did score when on the pitch. I mean, he had 1 start, 10 sub appearances, and scored a goal with a pretty good average match rating. So at 24 now, I'm hoping for a big year from him, but it's going to be a tough season for our squad. Season preview wise, we are considered to be better than last year. We're now predicted 6th, 150 to 1 odds of winning the title, but I wouldn't really say we're there yet. Of course, one thing I haven't mentioned is this season we will be playing in the Europa League after our 4th place finish last year, so we're going to try and give that a go, get some money in, and then hopefully build the club up long term, but I'm not quite sure we're ready for Europe. Either way though, we'll see what we can do in our 2nd year. And to be honest, our Europa League campaign did not go great. We did not make it out of the league phase. We lost pretty much every match, but there was one very historic day for any travelling Vitesse fan, and that was when we went away to Sporting Club de Portugal. In the 30th minute, they opened a scoring through Victor Gyökeres, and they were expecting to run away from it here, being the home team, being the better side, but for some reason, we just decided today was the day to turn up. But in the 45th minute, on the brink of half-time, Homer found Popov and his ball into the box, found Jonathans at back post. He tapped it in and it was 1-1 going into the second half. But of course, Sporting Club have some great players and St. Just is one of them, the Dutch player. He powered forward from centre-back and blasted it in, and it looked like another standard European loss for us until the 83rd minute, where Tielemans found the ball in the box, tapped it past Israel, that made it 2-2, and then with only a few minutes to go, in the 89th, we took the ball on the halfway line. All the Vitesse fans not very expectant here, but Riedewald found Homer played through Bootink, the homegrown academy product, he slotted it away, and that meant we won 3-2 on the night. The Europa League might not have gone well for us, but we got a very historic win. But in the league, we had another great season, far better than what I thought we'd have in our 2 years here so far. Another 4th place finish, 61 points, way away from the top 3, but we are doing really well. I thought Ajax would be the team we'd have to topple in this save, but Feyenoord have just won the league unbeaten with a 74 goal difference. They are insane and they're going to take so much to topple in this save. One thing we can definitely be happy with is the performance of some of our players on the pitch. Tielemans bagged 12 goals and is now considered one of our best players at age 23, and it is great to see the young players really lighting it up for us. Jonathan's again having another great year at the age of 21. Van Ginkel is still kicking and doing well, but it was Bootink who came in and scored 20 goals this season. He was injured last year, so it's great to see him bagging the goals for us again. Shion Homer came in this year and managed to bag 10 goals, with 7 of them being in the league, so that was very helpful for us. But overall, despite it not being as good of a year as season 1, it was still pretty good considering the players we lost, and we also managed to get a couple of wins in Europe. That's led us going into next season, season 3, with £2 million to spend and 46 grand a wage budget. It's not much to work with, but there's a twist in this rebuild, and that's because the board have dropped a new objective on us where they want us to operate a negative transfer budget business model. What that means is, even if we've got £1 million to spend on a player, even if we've got the budget for it, the board want us to sell a player for £1 million first before we bring anyone in. So things are getting tough in the market, but it's a good job our academy is producing some great youngsters, because we've got 3 players that I think could push for a first team place. We've got Zafer Sisek here, he's a 16-year-old right back. As well as him, we've got Sahin, who's an attacking midfielder with a lot of potential, and also this centre-back, Zar Rahan Reni, he's a 16-year-old as well. They're obviously not going to make a huge impact straight away, but there'll be plenty of opportunity for them to develop on the pitch and hopefully turn into some pretty profitable assets. So, 2 seasons in, 3 4th place finishes, now we want to start closing in on that top 3, but it's going to be tough with the budgets we've got. Either way, we'll try and make something happen in the transfer window. Okay, so let's rattle through the sales quickly. We've got this man, a South African 19-year-old Michael de Kunmu. He's moved to a fellow Dutch club for 170k, potentially rising to 425,000. 18-year-old Jim Collar has moved to Heracles Almelo in the first division for 140,000. Again, could rise to 225. And there's also the sale of this youngster, Steven van Belzen, who's moved to Excelsior for only 30,000. These sales aren't really worth much, of course, but with the budget we've got, an extra few £100,000 really does help. And this has definitely been our best window yet in terms of incomings. We've added 24-year-old Austrian under 21 international Leo Griemel on a free contract. He's valued at a few million on 14 grand a week from Schalke from the second division where he played really well. I'm hoping he can do some good stuff for us. We've got a new goalkeeping option as well. Bulgarian 23-year-old Svetslav Vutsov comes in. He's came in from Bulgarian side Slavia Sofia and is now definitely our best goalie. And the first recognisable face I think we've added to the team is Eric Bailly, the former Manchester United player, Ivory Coast international, was at Villarreal, wasn't playing, was let go on a free. We've been the club to sweep him up. He might not be the best anymore, but he's still considered one of our best defenders. We've also bought in Samson Tijani from RB Salzburg, a 23-year-old Nigerian, signing at the end of his deal with a 1.3 compensation fee. Never really playing for Salzburg, so I could see why they'd let him go. Is he world class? No. Is he a nice addition to the team? Definitely. We've got a new left back option as well. South African Aubrey Madiba comes in for 240,000, rising to 300 from Sundowns. I've never heard of him, but if you don't know, I only use my scouts recommendations in these saves. That way I can't use my own knowledge and sign the same players over and over again. So he comes in as our best left back, which is worrying because he's not really that great. We have signed one loan player. I said I'd try to avoid it, but I thought this one was too good to pass up. Jason van Duiven. He's joined us on loan for the season from PSV, a wonderkid striker with great potential. And actually, I did a wonderkid to superstar episode on him on FM Scout a couple of years ago. video and he sent me a message on Instagram. So he knows who I am, I suppose. So that's half of the reason I've bought him. And finally, we bought in Robert Pierre, a Spanish 30-year-old centre-back, one of our best that we've got at the club. He joins from Sporting Gijón, who were in the first division last season, and he played regularly there. So this is a La Liga quality centre-back coming into our team alongside Eric Bailly. And suddenly this team is starting to look a little bit better as our young players develop and we add in some of these new talents. We've got Pierre, Popov, Cornelis and Madiba at the back with Vutsov in goal. Riedewald and Van Ginkel make up our experienced midfield behind Jonathan's, Tielemans, Hommer and Van Duyven coming in. It'll be interesting to see the battle between him and Butink for that number one striker spot. I really don't care who does it, I just need someone to score goals for us. And season preview wise, not much has changed. Still predicted 6th, 150 to 1 title favourites. It's a long way to go before we eventually challenge for a title. We've got to keep building or else we might end up stalling, and we've only got 2 years left after this to do something special. So fingers crossed our team can do well. Season 3 is up, let's see what they can do. And we certainly learnt our lessons in the Europa League this time round because we managed to qualify for the knockout stages. We won 4 games including a historic win at Lazio, we drew to Manchester United which was an amazing result, and we only lost once to Turkish side Trabzonspor. That sent us into a Champions League knockout tie where we were facing off against Dinamo Zagreb. We got a 3-3 result at their stadium and then we came back to our stadium here in the Netherlands and straight away in the 27th minute we got off to a flyer. Zaruk got into the box, he took a shot and scored. We'll talk more about him a little bit later. Dinamo Zagreb though are one of Croatia's best side, if not the best, and they hit straight back in the 36th minute. This goal that Vutsov maybe could have saved made it 1-1. And with 73 minutes on the clock, Zagreb came forward again and really decided to crush any hope we had. A ball came in to Bruno Petkovic, a very good striker, and he headed home to make it 2-1. And things were made worse a few minutes later where we got a red card for this second yellow challenge from Madiba, our South African left back. So with 82 minutes on the clock, we were losing in the tie, down to 10 men, but then this header went in from a youth academy product. That meant the score was 2-2 and we were heading to extra time. But as soon as extra time started, we were hit with this calamitous goal. Vutsov lost the ball, Jonathan's fell over, and they managed to tap it in through Vrbranic to make it 3-2. Before we knew it, time was nearly up in the match. We were 3-2 down and down to 10 men. Things didn't look very good at all for us in terms of hopes for qualifying for the round of 16 until Zaruk hit this brilliant shot from the edge of the box. That made it 3-3 with 10 minutes to go. And with 6 minutes to play, Zaruk received the ball on the edge, managed to knock it out to Van Zwam, who hit this brilliant shot, and again it was another youth academy product scoring a goal. Just to show you, this is the man, Anas Zaruk, who scored twice there for us, an academy player who played a lot this season out of nowhere and did very well. The goal scorer of the second goal was this guy, Tim van der Liege. I have no idea how he got on the pitch with his ability, but he did, and when he did play for us, he scored a few times it seems. And our other goal came from Giovanni Van Zwam, a youth academy player who probably wasn't expecting to get any minutes, never mind score the winner against Zagreb to take us to the round of 16. So it's great to see our academy products doing well. After that lovely story though, we got absolutely battered by Porto in the round of 16, so the less said about that the better. But in the league it was once again more of the same, a 4th place finish, 19 wins and 9 losses, with Feyenoord once again winning the title, only 1 point more than Ajax, but they are doing significantly better than us, over 20 points better, so to close that gap in 2 years is going to be really hard. But we had some top performers this season. Van Duyven on loan managed to bag 19 goals. We also saw Zaruk be one of our best players this year, the Moroccan that we met earlier. Thomas Butink still managed to score 17, nearly keeping up with the youngster Van Duyven, whilst Hommer got 12 goals and Deroy Duarte scored 3. In the meantime though, we have been upgrading the club's facilities and you will see our reputation is going up slightly, and because we've had back-to-back European competitions now, we've ended up with £11 million in the balance. For some reason though, we've got negative £3 million to spend next summer, so we're only going to be allowed to sign players for a fee if we get some players out the door, so we need to do some serious work in the Season 4 transfer window. Okay, I did mention we needed to do a lot of work in this transfer window, and we certainly did, so prepare yourself. But before we get into it, if you could, the last time I'll ask you to like the video, it really would mean a lot. Like I say, I imagine naturally this video won't do as well as the ones with the bigger clubs, so the more likes we get, the more we can push it out in front of more people's eyes, so thank you to anybody who does that. Now let's get into the transfers. Our first outgoing is Leo Grimal, who joined us last season for free, and now he's moved back to Austria for 1.2 million. Only started 3 games last year, clearly not not considered good enough, so I'll take that. I'll take that money and we can reinvest it. The young fullback who scored the winner for us against Zagreb has also left. The academy product has gone to Union SG for 26 grand. He's been loaned back to us for the season for free. They offered it. I don't know why they did, but we're going to take it when we get offered. Academy player Luka Olic has also moved to Barnsley. He's gone for 250k. And another youngster's gone to Barnsley too, Senna Vesterveld. Obviously, they sent a scout to watch our youth teams and spent 500 grand on two of our better youngsters. Amin Butra has been an important player for us in the last few years in terms of getting minutes on the pitch, but decided he wanted to leave after last season, so he's gone to the Italian Serie A for 325k. 20-year-old Steph Vulhings has also left the club, an academy product moving to PEC's Wall for 300k. Leroy Duarte has also left the club to join Lecce, also known as Salento in game, for 675,000, having not found many minutes last year. And our other sale was Shion Homer, moving to Augsburg for 1 million. We've signed some new players to take his place, and at the same time, as you saw last season, to sign anyone, we needed to sell £3 million worth of players, so we had to sell any player that had any real interest in them. But it did allow us to bring in some fresh talents to our team, and we have got some great ones. Firstly, Prince Anning from Borussia Dortmund, a left-back, 22-year-old Dutch under-21 international who has actually played for Dortmund here and there, but has mainly been part of their second team, originally from Ajax, let go on a free, and he is now our best left-back, valued at 9 million. A real coup for us was signing Jason Van Duyven on a free contract. After his loan, his contract was up, so we got straight in there, and because we'd already built that relationship with him at the club, he was willing to come join us over some other teams. Brazilian 23-year-old Keiki has also joined us. Originally signed by Man City, he was loaned out to clubs within the City group and then let go on a free. We've now picked him up for no cost, and he's a very nice addition to the wing areas. Another free transfer, Roko Simic, a Croatian 22-year-old striker joining us from RB Salzburg, where he has scored goals when he's played but was never really favoured there. We had to pay a 2k compensation fee, absolutely nothing for a player of this quality. But maybe the best player we've got in the club now is this man, Jota, the Portuguese 27-year-old, formerly of Celtic, made that move to Saudi Arabia for 25 million, spent 3 years there getting his paycheck. Now he came in as a free agent to Vitesse, and in season 4, our squad's been massively improved. And with the fact we've got so many good strikers, I mean Simic, Van Duyven and Butink, I wanted to get the best out of them, so we have changed formation to a 4-2-4, very attacking, not very defensive, but we'll see what it can do for us. Popov, Vutsov are the two Bulgarians in our defence, with Pierre, Cornelis and Prince Anning at the back. Tielemans and Zaruk make up a young midfield, including a homegrown player there in Zaruk, with Jonathans and Jota on the wing behind Van Duyven and Roko Simic. A very good forward line. What does that mean for our season preview though? Are we predicted more than 6th place for once? Drumroll, 5th. Our odds of winning the league have gone way down though, but we are now predicted 5th, which just shows you the gap that's opening up between those top teams and us. It's getting bigger. We might be better than some of the other clubs, but we're getting further away from those guys right at the top. So we're heading into our 4th season now with Vitesse. They haven't been relegated, as it looks like they will get in real life, but we haven't really progressed any further than being a regular Europa League team, which is of course great for a club like Vitesse, but I want them to go much further than that. So I'm going to see what we can do in season 4, and then we'll build from there. We haven't got long left now to make a real impact at the club. Okay, season 4 was a pretty wild year, so let me run you through it. Firstly, we managed to crack a final of the Dutch Cup, which was way further than we've ever got before, but we were up against the best team in the land, Feyenoord, and unfortunately they got off to a flyer, scoring in the 50th minute. Now before the game, the odds of us getting a result were really low. Feyenoord were expected to tear through us, and in reality, they did exactly that. They were all over us, but obviously this is a cup final, and all that matters is sticking the ball in the back of the net. And with 89 minutes and 56 seconds on the clock, Jonathan started coming forward, and just as the clock hit 90 minutes, with our first real chance of the game, homegrown goalscorer Butink smashed it in from the edge of the area, and that made it 1-1. And a few minutes later in added time, a ball into the box ended up bouncing out to a youth academy product. He blasted it in with a fantastic finish, and suddenly we were 2-1 up, and we ended up winning the Dutch Cup. Now that's the first time Vitesse have won it for many a year, only the second time in their club's history. On the way we managed to knock out PEC's Wall, and in the quarter-final we took on Twente, so it wasn't the hardest running ever, but to beat Feyenoord was really impressive. And of course, after last year, we were in the Europa League, but unfortunately, we didn't make it past the qualifiers and ended up dropping into the Conference League. But that was much more our gig, and we made it all the way to the quarter-finals, where we faced off against Valencia, and after drawing 1-1 at home, Prince Anning scored, as you just saw, to make it 1-0, and then our academy player that we mentioned in Season 1, Sisek, found Jonathans in the box to pull it back to Butink. No matter who we bring in, this man keeps scoring scoring the goals, we won 2-1 against Valencia and ended up in a semi-final of the Conference League. And it was Lazio that we were put up against, and after drawing 1-1 in our home leg, we went to Italy looking to beat them to eventually get into a final of a European competition, but they went 1-0 up on the night to make it 2-1, and with 37 minutes on the clock, Isaacson found Guendouzi in the area, and he just had so much space, scored the goal. Lazio were too good for us, we lost on the night, but a Conference League semi-final was nothing to turn our nose up at, especially when you consider at the same time we had won the Dutch Cup and were competing in the league, because we went all the way this time into second place. We've got a Champions League space for next year, 1 point more than PSV. Ajax having a bad year really did help us, but Feyenoord still miles away from us, 9 points ahead, only 3 losses all season. But it was a fantastic year for our young squad full of new talent in this new formation. We got some great results out of our players, including Rocco Simic scoring 33 goals in his first season at the club, alongside Butink with 22, Jota with 11, Tielemans with 4, Rijdervold with 4, still chipping in there. At the same time, we're seeing development in our youngsters getting opportunities, like Sisek, who's now a decent right back. But my favourite one is Rennie, the youth academy product that we're having to batter off the likes of Man U, Arsenal and PSG trying to offer him a deal earlier in the season. And after our brilliant year, we've been granted a huge £4 million transfer budget to work with. Again, it really isn't much for a club that's trying to beat the likes of Feyenoord, Ajax and PSV to a title, but we work within the constraints we've got, and we're going to see what we can do in our final transfer window. We've won a Dutch Cup, so I'm happy with that, but I really wanted to push for an Eredivisie, so let's see what we can do in our final year. Okay, time for the Season 5 transfers. There's so many ingoings and outgoings, so I'm going to rush through. Just to let you know, we spent 0 in terms of actual transfer fee and made 9 million. Firstly, the biggest sale, our Bulgarian Viktor Popov, 27 years of age now, has moved to join Las Palmas out in Spain. Zaruk was really good for us a few seasons ago, but only played 1 or 2 games last year, so he's moved to Portugal for a fee of 1.6 million, rising potentially to 2. Jairo Rijdervold has been a great servant, but he's gone to Hamburg for 1.5 million. And it's the same fee for academy product Enzo Cornelis, who's been a great servant but had 1 year left on his deal and didn't want to extend, so he's gone to Genk. Another academy product leaving, having helped us out over the years, is Milano Jonathans, who's moved to Nuremberg for a fee of 875k. He will be playing Bundesliga football though, so we're very happy with his progress in his career. Good luck to him. Spanish centre-back Robert Pierre goes to Sampdoria in Italy for just under 1 million. And Kaiki never really made an impact, so he's moved to the Brazilian leagues for 750k. And like I say, there was a whole host of new incomings, so I'm going to rattle through these as quick as we can. All of them were free transfers, so just bear that in mind. Firstly, Fodi Fofana joins us from PSV. He was here on loan in Season 1, now a free agent. He's a nice addition on the wing. Nikola Kavlina, a Croatian under-21 former international, 25 years of age now, a very good goalie coming in to compete for our number 1 shirt. And we've got a real coup in Dutch right-back Milan van Uwijk, signing from Coventry, having left them on a free deal. You will see some of these players have made an impact already, and I'll show you why that is in a second. We added 26-year-old Jason Knight, formerly of Bristol City. He's been great in the Championship and League One, so will be a nice addition to our team. Valued at 15 million, that seems like a great pickup for us. Eric Junior Dina Abimbe is one of my favourite names ever. We've decided to sign him on a free from the Bundesliga because of his versatility. Jean Doran is another great free transfer, bought in from Aston Villa. He's been playing a lot of football for them, so it's surprising he has signed for us on a free, and he's now valued at 25 million. Antonio Blanco also joins as a star player, 27-year-old Spanish international. What a signing this is. 30-year-old Bulgarian legend Kirill Despodov has joined on a free as well to give us some great depth and quality on the wing. Silas Ganaka is a nice depth option in midfield and defence. Maybe our best free transfer though was Samuel Edozie from Southampton joining on a free. The reason this one was so crazy is he's actually been playing Premier League football regularly for 2 years for Southampton and doing so well for them. And there's still 4 other transfers to go, but before you see these 4, I need to explain to you that after the transfers out, we didn't actually have any centre-backs left, maybe 1, and that was the Youth Academy player that I showed you earlier. So we've signed Rafael Varane, as well as Harry Maguire, Lewis Dunk, and Pablo Mari. So yes, we've signed Manchester United centre-back partnership, as well as Brighton centre-back and Pablo Mari, all when they're way past their prime. None of them are really that great anymore, but the 4 of them combined, I'm hoping, will be enough to help us out this year in those centre-back spots, so that eventually, whoever takes over on this rebuild build, if you do join it on the Patreon, you'll have some budget hopefully to bring some centre-backs in, because I did not, so I had to go for all of these guys on a free. But this is now our best 11. Cavlina is in goal, with Van Uwijk at the back, Rafael Varane and Lewis Dunk in a Vitesse Arnhem shirt, Prince Anning, Jason Knight, Antonio Blanco, Despodov alongside Edozie, Simic and Duran, and that's with some fantastic players on the bench like Jota, Butink, Harry Maguire, Dina Amibe and Van Duyven. So what a side we've assembled here. Because of those transfers, our season preview had us in 4th place this time, so things are on the up, and we were actually in a Super Cup final this season as well against Feyenoord, because we did win the Dutch Cup and they won the league, and they went 1-0 up after 13 minutes. Their quality continued to show when they scored again in the 27th. Shaquille Van Persie then carried it forward only a few minutes later in the 30th minute. Malambo received the ball in the box, found Jimenez. Now remember, we're trying to compete with Feyenoord in the league this season, and they're already battering us 3-0 before the season even kicks off. Or at least they were until the 40th minute, because Duran got forward, and this was a lot of our players' debuts by the way. He ended up playing it across to Simic, who managed to turn and score in the box to make it 3-1. In the 74th minute, Despodov scored on his debut from the spot, having won a penalty. And with 86 minutes on the clock, again it was that man Despodov on the right hand side linking up with academy player Sisek. It found Simic back to Despodov, and he managed to make it 3-3. That led to a penalty shootout where Harry Sutar stepped up for Feyenoord, and it was saved by our new man Cavlina. That meant we had came from 3-0 down to win the Dutch Super Cup, and that's really going to set a marker with our rivalry for Feyenoord in the upcoming season. I just thought I would show you that now, because that was before we actually started simulating the year. I've only just finished our transfers, but we have won all our friendlies. We beat PSV 4-1 in the Eredivisie with goals from Edozie, Despodov and Simic, and we also beat Genk to qualify for the next round of the Champions League playoffs. Fingers crossed we can make it into the Champions League proper, but it's been a great start to the season. Let's see how our final season with Vitesse Arnhem is going to end. Okay, let's start off with the Champions League performance, where we did actually qualify for the league phase, but you will see we're not on your screen just yet, and that's because we were terrible. We only won 1 match, and that was against Apoel. We drew 2, and we lost 5. So we did have some very hard games, as you can see, and the draws were against pretty good clubs, but the Champions League just did not go well for us. In the league, though, it was a different story. This year, we really stepped on the gas, and despite Feyenoord playing very well this season, they lost a few more games than normal. We were doing better than before, and it kind of evened us out a little bit. We were joint on points, but Feyenoord had 20 plus goal difference over us, but Feyenoord drew their second to last match, and we went into our final game knowing if we were to win it, we would win the title. And we were playing against NEC Nijmegen, who's actually a club that I've rebuilt on this channel before when I got their shirt in a mystery box back in the day, and they managed to take the lead after 44 minutes. We thought we might have a chance of winning the title, but before half time, they'd really struck a killing blow. We gave some stern words though at half time. Duran ended up finding a Edozie, and our new signing this season made it 1-1, and now all we needed to do was find a winner. And in the 87th minute, Prince Anning had the ball in the box. He managed to find Blanco in the middle. He tucked it away. The crowd went wild. Vitesse had just won the Eredivisie. And I'll be honest, I had little, if not zero, faith we would ever win the league in this rebuild. After the first few years, I thought we were going to have to settle for like a Champions League run and make something great out of that in a video. But somehow we have won the league. As you can see, we lost 6 games this season, drew 1, whilst Feyenoord drew 5 and lost 4. So we didn't draw, but we did lose quite a few games, and it would be great if I could sit here and just rig these rebuilds so that they always work out great. But like I say, I had no faith in this. Particularly, we started so well, and then we started to drop off, got back into it, but it was just here when Feyenoord went on a run. We lost to Utrecht, and we actually fell behind them in the league a little bit. I had no faith we were ever going to win the league from that point. I thought we'd throw it away, but just to show you Feyenoord's schedule, they did quite well in the Champions League, and I think that did them in, because after losing to us, they went on a winning streak. That was until Arsenal beat them in the Champions League quarter-finals, which is way further than we got, mind you, so they are the better club currently, but they ended up losing to PSV away in the game after that. I have to think that had some kind of momentum shift on them, because only a couple games later, they drew to Herenveen, and that's when we really had to take our chance. So it was a crazy story. I really did not think we would win the title, but somehow we have. I say somehow, there's a real obvious answer. John Duran scored 20, Edozie Forzi got 15, and Despodov scored 20. That was 65 goals that we wouldn't have had otherwise last year from them new players. At the same time, Dina Amibe ended up getting 6, Rocco Simic got 18, whilst Jason Knight contributed 5, Varane with 2, Blanco with 1, the all-important one at the end of the season. Thomas Butink was still scoring goals, Milan van Uwijk, I mean, Harry Maguire only played 1 game as a starter all season, but I don't care. We got over the line, we won the league. All of those defenders will be leaving at the end of their contract at the end of this season, but I really couldn't be bothered. We have just gone and won the Dutch Cup and the Eredivisie with Vitesse at the same time as having a pretty good run in the Conference League, as well as also being in the Champions League one season. We've got the facilities into an amazing place. One thing you didn't see as well is we have actually bought the stadium. The Gelredrome is now owned by the Vitesse board, which it wasn't before, at least in the Football Manager world. So I feel we've done a really good job here with Vitesse, and I really do hope to any Vitesse fans watching that they do stay up this season in the Eredivisie. I know it doesn't look likely, but have faith, you never know. San Antonio Blanco, maybe he'll score last minute win it for you, but hopefully this at least gives you some reprieve from what's happening in real life. Thank you guys for watching, don't forget to like the video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.